Hi everyone, this is Paul Matthews and welcome to the December update. Again, apologies for the delay and the movement of this update. Several things going on which caused this to be pushed out a couple of times, and then due to some resourcing this week, some training courses that are going on, this has to be recorded. So apologies again for that, but hopefully this will provide you the information, and later on we'll talk about, if you've got any questions, how I'll deal with those. So on with where we are. So brief agenda of what I'm going to run through. So I'm going to talk about the 2017.2.0 release, an overview of what's in this release, some updates. There's some updates on several topics just to run through, to give you an overview of where they are, and just a couple of reminders. And what's coming in the 2018.1.0, and a couple of things beyond that. And then some feedback, and not so much questions, but a mechanism of how you can get those questions through to me. Okay, so 2017.2.0. So this will be released the week beginning Monday the 18th of December. As per normal, a blog posting will be put up when this is made available on FTP. The release notes are done, and they will be made available on campus when the release is out. So the highlights of what's in this release, and I'm going to touch on each of these following on from this, but we've got some Pac-Man optimization. There's a Jade upgrade, Windows Designer, what's there and what has come through from the Ideals portal, I should say, and just to touch on some bug fixes that have been done. Needless to say, I won't be citing you all the bug fixes that have been done, but I'll just talk about what has been done there. Okay, so in no particular order, Pac-Man optimization. So version 4.7 of Pac-Man will be available on FTP. This has some optimization capability, as we're just labeling it. We've been doing some benchmark tests, and we've found that the loading of the packs has come down quite significantly. We have some rough percentages that we've worked on, what the work we've done, but it'll vary from site to site. So I don't want to say if it's X%, because it will vary depending on the server and the size of the system that you're upgrading, but you will notice some differences there. So how does it work? So the key bit there that I've talked about in Pac-Man, you need to ensure that that setting below is set to false or untick. Yeah, so slightly different. Otherwise, if it is ticked, so if it's set to true, it will load Pac-Man the old way, or the way that we're used to at the moment, I should say. And this is available for loading at 4.10 onwards. Okay, also in this release, Windows Designer. This replaces Screen Customization Manager. Now, some of you have been involved in this in the EAP, or the Early Access program that we did with this. So some of you will know what this is. Some people will not know, or may have heard things, but others won't know what it is at all. So it replaces Screen Customization Manager. The Windows Designer is free for all customers, regardless of whether you had Screen Customization Manager or not. But you need to upgrade to this 2017.2 release. Now, the reason it was free, because a lot of the surveys and the feedback we've got back is that the Windows client needs some updating. So that comes in two levels. We know that some work needed to be done on the Screen Customization Manager, in terms of how it worked and what screens you could do, making it easier, but also around the assignment of screens as well, which was painful. So in the Windows Designer, we've looked to address all those issues. So that's why it's been given out to free for everybody. The browser is still a chargeable module. So it's just the Windows Designer. So now we've got Windows Designer and we've got Browser Designer. So looking to bring that terminology together. So some of the highlights of what's in the Windows Designer, what it can do, does do, above Screen Customization Manager. You can move fields from one tab to another. And I've put there keynote, this is not currently available for UDFs and trees. We are looking at that. Hopefully we'll get there shortly with those. So the moving of the tabs, works alongside how the browser designer works for those that have done that. You can adjust the size of fields. You can hide and or relabel those right-hand buttons. So the infamous right-hand buttons that you see, which vary from screen to screen, you can hide those, you can relabel them, you can change the shortcuts that work them. The assignment of screens is much easier. So on that basis, that forms access is removed from the user preferences. Now, some of you may have noticed or even be aware that when you open those user preferences, the screen is often quite slow to load. And that's because it's reloading and looking at that forms access all the time. So you'll also notice improvement of loading of that user preferences screen. So the assignment is changed. Screens can be imported and exported. So going forward, it'd be good to share some screens around, but also if you do a whole lot of work in a test system, you can then just import it into your live system without too much disruption. And there's an undo and redo function. So in other words, if you're doing some work, you then think, oh, holy, insert the blank word there. You want to undo it, redo it, and again, it works a bit like it does with Excel and Word, is that you can undo until the last save. But this wasn't meant to be a training session in that. Excuse me. So a video is now up on campus. So it's in there, it's in the webinars section, which goes through the whole process in detail. And again, you get to listen to my dulcet tones talking about this. And the release notes also have details on the Windows Designer as well. The video that's on campus is about half an hour long, but it goes through the assignment and also what you can do in that Windows Designer. So I would point you in that direction. Jade upgrade, as I've stated previously, just in the agenda bit, and several people have probably heard about it as well. There's a Jade upgrade as part of this release. So the details will be sent out to all the VADs following the release, once the release is available. The information for the non-VADs will also be posted on the blog, also following when the release is announced. So as well as Pac-Man 4.7, the Windows Designer, the improvements, there's some improvements to the feedback on the lock-in issues. But also there's some documentation which will be part of the blog around some default INI settings. So maybe it'd be a good time to check those out. Okay, bug fixes and the ideas portal. There are 125 bug fixes in this release. This is detailed out more fully in the release notes. It's also worth stating that not all 125 fixes are listed in the release notes. Most of them are, but there were some minor fixes that were done that weren't listed out. But as per normal, if you had a call logged or you're logged as an interested party in a call, you will get an email as per standard what you did with those. The ideas portal. So several items are included in this release from the ideas portal around the browser timesheets, allowing negative hours and the midnight setting, and some enhancements around some messaging on some lock-in, which was also in the ideas portal. The details are in the release notes, but also the status is updated on the ideas portal. So you'll see that there as well. Hopefully you're becoming a bit more au fait with those statuses getting updated. Okay, some updates. Bit of a random selection of topics here, but just some things that are going on in the background, just a couple of reminders. Salesforce. So Salesforce is scheduled to go live on the 12th of February. And this is for the support and the blog. So some of you have been involved in a bit of UAT testing, so you're aware kind of what's going on and roughly how it's going to work in certain areas. And thank you for the people that helped out with that. So what means that on the 12th of February, you will not be able to log calls into GetSmart, and the blog will be closed off as well. The training materials for Salesforce will be made available closer to the time as to what's going on. We're just still doing some UAT testing internally, getting everything ready. So as soon as everything's ready, those training materials will be completed. The campus go live will be slightly later. So campus is also going into Salesforce. It forms another module in Salesforce. You will get all those details around terminology, etc., close to the time. It's scheduled for the 1st of March to have all the content migrated. We'll keep you updated with that. If anybody got any questions around that campus, we'll talk about feedback and questions in a bit. But just check your emails and the blog postings. We'll keep you updated as much as we can as we go forward. A little bit over Christmas, there'll be a bit of a break, but then we'll start up again. Okay, some other update messages. Just from support, please ensure that you put a requested priority, pack point, and site in your support calls. Support is saying that a few people are missing this out, and we appreciate that the stuff are not mandatory fields, but they're going back, but we do need that entered, please. Thanks to the people who do all their calls really well. So I appreciate this as an interim measure, but it's just a reminder to please put those details in. eDoc sites that are not packed to 2017.1.0, there's been an issue identified where attachments are consuming large amounts of disk space. And the big caveat here, it's not affecting everybody. So please don't run off and be worried. It's not affecting everybody. And it's resolved at 2017.1.0. A debug is available on the debug folder on FTP, and there is a blog with all the details on it. So please check there. But yeah, just be aware of that. I guess just to highlight it here, that if you suddenly, a customer is reporting this and you're still looking into it, you need to look into it, go and have a look at the blog. The blog's got all the details. Some AU payroll changes. There were some changes that were not documented in the release that some partners picked up on. This is in the previous release. This was around the TFN and the payee tax status. We've made sure that those are included in these release notes, so please have a look at that. Okay, so what's coming up apart from Christmas? 2018.1.0 is scheduled to be released the week beginning the 19th of March. Now, what you might realize is that those dates are kind of a bit shorter, given that people will be coming on a staggered basis coming back in January. You'll see why it's that date in a second, but you may like to pencil it in. The UI refresh. So following on from the Windows Designer, the other update that will be going on the Windows client is doing a UI refresh. So as well as the Windows Designer, a new look and feel is coming, or arriving as I put there. Some of you may have seen some of this already at the partner meetings. And I've got some screenshots on the next couple of slides just showing you for people who haven't seen anything and kind of wondering what's going on, or they might have heard of it but are not aware. And we will be engaging with partners and customers for some feedback in February around the new UI. So some details will come out on that. Single touch payroll, or STP as it's called. This is for AU payroll only, so New Zealand partners might think, I've no idea what this is. So single touch payroll is around Australian payroll, but for New Zealand partners, if you're running any Australian payroll, you need to be aware of this. as this is a legal requirement from the 1st of July 2018. Now, there are employee numbers based around this that you don't need to do it for, but majority will need to do it. But that employee numbers is only quite low. So an EAP has already started on this. And the plan is that in the 2018.1.0 release, we'll have all the necessary STP requirements in there, and all the training material will be done by then as well. So if you're kind of wondering what's going on, you may have noticed on the blog, there's an FAQ that I put up. This has been updated periodically, so I'm not updating it at a set, like every Monday, for example. I'm just putting it up when we have a few more questions come in. We update that FAQ and then we'll just publish it there. So please look on the blog. I will keep that updated as often as I can. So a note on the single touch payroll or STP, you just need to start thinking about the sites and upgrading just on that 2018 release. And why it's coming out towards the end of March is that we'll get that release out before the Easter break. So not that I'm saying you're going to need to work over Easter, but I'm just saying that we're trying to give you as much leeway as possible to get any sites upgraded to then meet the STP requirements. If you've got any questions around that, just, well, again, I'll let you know in a second. But yeah, so that's why that date is the 19th of March for that release. Okay, as I said, a couple of slides. Sorry, that one's a bit blurry. Just around what the new UI is going to be looking like, or how it currently stands at the moment. And as I said, well, we'll be doing an exercise where we show this to partners and client customers and get some feedback on this. So this is how it's looking. So a random selection. I've got 3 slides here just to run you through. Apologies, that one's a bit blurry. Customer screen. It's the same one again. That's what it's looking like. So this layered with the Windows Designer will hopefully starting to look a bit cleaner and a bit fresher. And an entry screen on how that looks. Okay, I'll just pause there for a second. Okay, continuation of what's coming. ClickSense integration. So, big caveat here. So while this won't be in the 2018.1.0 release, there is a project currently in the discovery phase. So it's being worked on at the moment. And what this does is this is embedding ClickSense into Greentree. I would like to be able to give you some more details at this point, but the work is still just at that early discovery stage about how it's exactly going to be embedded and how this will be viewed. So this is to gear up, again, more feedback was around reporting and analytics and how to get better out of Greentree. So this is what this is doing. So ClickSense will be embedded into Greentree. Hopefully by the time the next update comes out, I can show you a bit more around that. The ideas portal. So this hasn't been forgotten. So some more ideas will be coming out from the ideas portal and put into the product. We're just working on the time frames around that and in terms of what we can get done. But we've already started that. So the planning is underway as to what we can get done in time for that next release and build around the ClickSense and the STP as well. Okay, so feedback/questions. I appreciate this has been rather brief and also delayed. So again, my apologies for that. If you've got any questions or you feel I haven't covered anything in enough detail, then I'm happy to either have a chat with you or to go through something and I can go away and find the answers. If I don't know them, that's fine. Just email me, and some of you will have my email address, but there it is again. I'll leave that on the screen there. Please put the 2 in. There is another Paul Matthews here. I'm sure he doesn't want to get any of my emails. So drop me a line. Otherwise, I would just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hope everybody gets a break over the summer, or break over the Christmas New Year period, and gets lots of sunshine and stays away from their emails for a short time anyway. Anyway, so thanks for your time, everybody, and have a good Christmas. Cheers.